this is what the Big Ten tournament is going to look like. Obviously, it's huge that Indiana beat Michigan State, because that's what led to Indiana being here as 6th seed, and they're going to play Nebraska, which is much better for them than playing Purdue or playing Illinois or something like that. So that's huge for Indiana. Ohio State gets bumped to the 10 seed. So instead of being the 9 seed, they'll play Purdue. Instead of playing Purdue as the 10 seed, they'll play Illinois. I don't know if it really matters. I think both those teams are really good. But basically here, guys, I just want us to talk through basically the whole tournament and kind of get our predictions. We'll agree on what we agree on and go from there. So let's start with Rutgers, Maryland. Lee, you're the expert on the Terrapins here. Do you think Maryland has what it takes to beat Rutgers in round 1?
Yeah, I think we do. We went up there last week or 2 weeks ago and dismantled them. I don't know. My heart tells me to go with Maryland, but I could also see us losing the game. But I'm gonna say Maryland just because I feel like I've got to.
You agree with that, Kent?
I do agree with that, actually. But I want to say, though, I think this game is going to be a lot more fun than people are going to realize a 12-13 game should be. This is going to be a great game. I mean, to me, all these games are going to be fun, but this is going to be a really fun game to watch. But I'm going with Maryland, yes. Yes.
I go with Maryland too. I do have some pause because they have only won 1 of their last 5. And yes, that one was at Rutgers. And Rutgers only scored 46 in that one. So, struggling Rutgers offense versus really good Maryland defense. That's kind of what you get. But my whole thing at the end of the day is that, Maryland has Jahmir Young. And when it kind of comes to a stalemate there, I go with, whoever has the best player. And the best player on that court will no doubt be Jahmir Young in my mind, so I go with him.
All right, the only reason I'm sorry, I'll go one more statement on. I'm sorry. The only reason that I would lean Rutgers at all in this game is because nobody's going to be there. It's going to be an empty stadium, and I feel like a team that does favor a defensive team, like we've been talking about with Rutgers, they probably would do better in a quiet, cold building like it's going to be Wednesday night than a team like Maryland who feeds off the energy of the crowd and going on runs, I think. But all that being said, I still like Maryland. Sorry.
You make it sound like
one thing. One, I will say, people don't give Maryland much credit, but we're a good defensive team. I think we're number 7 last I looked in Ken Palm for defensive. So I'm not saying I don't disagree with you. Maryland does tend to feed off of runs, but I think they're not probably as good as Rutgers, but I think we're just as good, probably, maybe. I don't know.
No, I think it's right. I think Cliff Moria is a better rim protector than Julian Reese, but Julian Reese is still good down there. I mean, it's not like he's anything to be upset about. So, but I still agree. Maryland. I think with Jahmir Young, that's the key piece. So, but who knows if Rutgers wins? You heard it here first. It's because of the cold, lifeless building that they were in, and Rutgers just thrives in that. So.
That's right.
All right.
I'll be there, by the way. I'll be cheering them on. So I'll try to bring some energy to the building. Didn't get the credentials I wanted from the Big Ten, and we could talk about that after the show, I guess. But I'm still going to be covering it. I will be there live, and I'll be sending Lee updates as the game progresses on Wednesday night.
Please do.
Very, very good. All right, let's talk about the next one. Michigan's awful. Penn State has won 3 of their last 5. They've actually beaten Illinois, and they just beat Maryland, who we were talking about tonight. So that's good for them. However, this Penn State team, they're kind of up and down. They don't have Kanye Clary, their leading scorer, but that doesn't look like it's affected them. I don't know if you guys agree with that. To me, it doesn't look like it's really hindered them all that much, but Kent, let's start with you. Michigan, Penn State. You see an upset with Michigan, or you think it's going to be Penn State?
Penn State, definitely. I do not see an upset in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Definitely Penn State.
You agree, Lee?
Yeah, if Penn State had shown, or correction, if Michigan had shown any bit of life these last couple of weeks, then maybe I think it could be close. But I just don't think they really want to be there. I think they're ready for the offseason. So. Penn State for me as well.
All right. Yeah. Fisherman says Michigan quit. I hate to say a team has quit. It really does kind of look like that. Like Doug McDaniels cares. He wants to win, but I don't know if anybody else without Olivier Kamwa and all that stuff. I don't know if I see it. So this next one's actually probably going to be one of my favorite games of the tournament. It's going to be Minnesota, Michigan State. This is going to be a really fun game to watch. I think Minnesota is a good team. Obviously, we have some Minnesota fans here in the comments. Appreciate you all being here. Michigan State, they are a good team by the numbers, but they've not been a good team lately. I put it out on Twitter earlier today. I don't think they're a tournament team. They shouldn't be a tournament team, but they'll get the recognition because it's Tom Izzo and he has the name brand and all that stuff. But Lee, we'll push it to you here first. Minnesota, Michigan State. What are your thoughts on this game? If you had to pick a winner, who would you pick?
I think this is kind of a toss-up for me. But I think I lean more towards Michigan State just with Tyson Walker and AJ Hogard. And I think they have more experience. And I'm not saying that necessarily potentially matters in a second round Big Ten game, but I think when it comes to it, if they need a bucket, I think Michigan State's more apt to go out and get a bucket than Minnesota would. So I'm gonna say Michigan State in this one.
I am going to say that Michigan State is lifeless, and I don't like them, at least for this season. I'm not saying I dislike them overall, but this season, I don't like that they have all the numbers and all the people believe in them and whatever. I know their own fan base doesn't really believe in them all that much. So at this point, Lee, I'm going to respectfully disagree and say that I think Michigan State doesn't have a front court. Malik Hall was, he's one of the only players that on that team that looks like I shouldn't say one of the only players. Him and Tyson Walker look like the only players on that team that look, like they're going to make a play and make an impact in the game. I don't know what's happened to AJ Hogard. He's kind of been inconsistent in the past, but he's just now not doing anything at all, it looks like. And Matty Sissoko, not a fan of him. Xavier Booker, I think they started him too late, and I'm not a fan of that. And then Jaden Akins, I don't know if I've even seen much of anything from him, notably in games lately. So if I had to pick one, I'd say Minnesota. I think they're in Minneapolis. They care a whole lot. Parker Fox is a lightning bolt. I got to get that in there because I know Kent's going to mention him. But at the end of the day, I'm going to pick Minnesota. Kent, you're the tiebreaker. Who would you pick?
I'll start by saying I'm picking Minnesota, so you can fix the graphic right now. I'll pick them, and you can advance them. But I will say that Lee made some good points. Michigan State is a better team. They should win the game, but they're not going to because of everything that JR just said. They're a little lifeless right now. They're going to be in Minnesota. And if there's any semblance of a crowd whatsoever in that 11 a.m. game, they are going to everyone is going to be backing the Gophers if they get a lead at all. And then I can just see Michigan State falling apart. But like I said, Lee, I agree with everything that you said. But I'm going to take Minnesota, and I will be cheering for Minnesota too in their home state. And Parker Fox, like you said, obviously. And Joshua Ola Joseph just followed me yesterday on Twitter, so I'm definitely cheering for them.
I'm not going to back off my my Michigan State, but I will admit that I did forget that it's in Minneapolis, so I'll take that one. But I'm not gonna recant my my pick, so I don't look like a loser or a coward.
That's fair.
No
That's
one
fair.
would think you're a coward, Lee. Hey, guys, we have some SEC fans here, and they agree with me. Michigan State should not make the NCAA tournament. Thank you, Vols Fanatics Show, our Tennessee volunteer friends. Yes, and Michigan State overrated. They shouldn't make the tournament. I'm with them. So, all right. Okay, this is a game, Maryland, Wisconsin. This is kind of a sneaky game. I think everybody, is going to say right away, "Oh, Wisconsin wins this one." I don't know. I think Wisconsin, they have not been the same team lately. We were talking about that. Obviously, they lost to Purdue tonight, which, no harm, no foul there. Everybody loses to Purdue. It's fine, except for Jake Diebler. Anyway, so it's not a big deal. However, I think Maryland's inspired. I think that they are going to play inspired. They go against Rutgers. They win that game. And I think they're going to feel like, hey, we have a bit of a road here. We can beat Northwestern and then, see what happens with Purdue. I don't know. Kent, we'll start with you. I'm not giving a prediction either way right now, but what are your thoughts? And if you had to give a prediction, what would you say?
I'm going to take Wisconsin in this game because even though I just said we've kind of been fooled by the type of team that they are from what they did at the beginning of the year, they're still the 5 seed for a reason. Maryland is the 12 seed for a reason, and that reason is wins and losses. So I'll take Wisconsin, the team that has got more wins than them, and a team that, going back to what Lee just said about Michigan State versus Minnesota, they are a better team than Maryland. And if they play like that for 40 minutes, then they should advance into this tournament and play Northwestern in the next round. So I'll take Wisconsin in this one.
What do you think, Lee?
Well, Kent said that Michigan State was the better team against Minnesota, but he then went and picked Minnesota. So I'm going to say Maryland because we have played I look at any of these teams.
No way.
Any of these teams. We played all of these teams. Maryland is 1-10 in 5-point or less games. Okay. Like we could easily be, 3 or 4 games better than we are. And I think on a neutral site, obviously that gives us a little bit more of a chance. I'm solely going to say Maryland because I'm a Maryland fan, but I could see this going either way as well.
Listen, all right. Michael Aston here. I can't find it. There it is. Michael Aston here. JR, have to ask. It's down to Indiana State and Michigan State for the last spot in the tournament. Who gets your last spot? Even though Michigan State beat Indiana State, I still choose Indiana State over Michigan State in that scenario. Even though Wisconsin beat Maryland earlier this year at Wisconsin, by the way, by only 4 points, I'm picking Maryland. I think Maryland can do it. I'm going with Maryland to beat the Badgers. I don't believe in the Badgers at all. Call me a hater.
No, I'm not. I don't think you're a hater, and I don't think either of you are necessarily wrong because of what we just said, all those things about Wisconsin. But that's what makes this tournament great. Like, we don't really know what's going to happen in these games.
Well, and we have to pick some kind of Cinderella team, right? Like,
yeah,
like somebody that's going to play up above and do something better than maybe what they've shown us so far this season. And I think it could be Maryland. I think, Deshaun Harris-Smith, he's a little bit older. He's got some more experience on his side. Jameer Young, it's his last time. Like, he knows it. Julian Reed, like, I think that this team, they have some pieces together. And I think that if they put it together, they can beat a struggling team like Wisconsin. So I'm going to pick them. All right. Okay. So Ohio State, Iowa, I'll just say it first. I'm going to pick Ohio State to win this one. I think Iowa has a really good offense. However, I do think that Ohio State, their offense can keep up with them enough. And I think Ohio State's playing good enough defense right now that they'll be able to stop Iowa enough to win this one. Lee, we'll go to you first. Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I'm going to go with who's hot and who's not. I'm going to pick Ohio State. I think they're putting their pieces together right now, and Iowa just hasn't been playing well recently. So I think Ohio State continues as well. And we got 2 double-digit seeds into Friday.
It's kind of crazy because, like, both of these teams, Ohio State and Iowa, they both need at least 1 win in the Big Ten tournament to probably get into the NCAA tournament. I mean, like, 1 win for Iowa would be nice. I think that they still have a chance to get in, but I don't think Ohio State has a chance to get into the tournament unless they win this first game here. So big opportunity for them, but I think their back has been against the wall for a long time, and I think they're going to make it happen. Kent, you think you're with us, or are you going to choose Tony Perkins and the Hawkeyes?
No, I know Tony is watching right now, so I'm sorry, Tony, but I am going to pick the Buckeyes for everything that they – listen, Ohio State wouldn't be a 10 seed if Chris Holtmann didn't start the season as the coach this year. That's how I feel. I feel like that they would have been a higher seed to begin with if Diebler was there all year. So just because it's a 10 versus a 7 matchup, no, Ohio State's playing better right now, and I'm definitely picking them to win that game. I'm right with you guys on this.
All right, I'm glad the Buckeyes are getting some love, and I appreciate you guys. Whether you're actually believe that or you're just trying to make me happy, either way, I appreciate it. So, all right,
I believe it,
guys.
baby. I believe it.
I got to be honest. Day 2 here, I think that has some of my favorite games of everything. Penn State, Indiana here, like. this is a really good backcourt for Penn State with kind of a struggling front court. I wouldn't say it's like a bad front court, but they're compared to other front courts in the Big Ten, they're struggling. But IU has a really bad backcourt, but they have a really good front court. So it's kind of like good on bad, bad on good here in a few different ways. To be honest, I don't really know which way I'm going to go. I lean Indiana, but just because they're kind of hot with that Michigan State win, but I'm not really confident in it. Kent, what do you think?
I'm confident. I do like Indiana a lot because of this reason only. They just beat Michigan State. I don't know if you guys have heard of this before, but it goes January, February, Izzo, April, May, June, July. That's how it goes on the calendar. Have you guys heard that? And it is Izzo right now, and they just beat Michigan State in the month of Izzo. Can you guys believe that? That's how hot they are right now. So I'll take Indiana. And I think they win this game convincingly, actually. I think that they're going to win this game going away against Penn State. Penn State's not ready for them at the moment. They might be next year, but not right now. I like Indiana a lot in this game.
Wow. What do you think, Lee?
Yeah, I agree. I think Khalil Ware and Malik Renew are far superior to Qudus Wahab. And I think Xavier Johnson does enough to control Ace Baldwin. I mean, Xavier Johnson is very good defensively. So I lean Indiana, and I think they could win it probably by double digits if they play well.
Fisherman agrees with you. He says Indiana big. So
Fisherman known he knows ball. Fisherman knows ball.
Known ball knower. Fisherman.
He needs to put that in his bio. He needs to put that in his bio. I know ball.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, Fisherman, he has to win commenter of the year on this show, right?
Well, honestly,
it's him and Michael, right?
Him and Michael greets everybody in the chat, which I appreciate. Michael's
the nicest. Yeah, he's the best.
I love that whenever Michael's in the chat. No, I like, honestly, when I was thinking about the games to recap here, I was thinking, man, I should probably recap the Michigan State Indiana game. I feel like that's gonna be a really big game. But in my mind, I said, no, Fisherman is going to want us to talk about Ohio State, and Fisherman is always here. We don't have any IU fans other than Burke. Sorry, Often Daunted. I know you're in there, but but we don't have very many IU fans. We don't have a ton of Michigan State fans. So to me, I'm like, give Fisherman what he wants because he's in here and we appreciate him. So, all right. We'll get off that.
I'll tell you what. I don't know if Kent's familiar, but JR knows that each year on our podcast, we do a award ceremony similar to the ESPYs, but we call it the Testies.
Yeah.
And we'll make a special category this year for the best Big Ten Huddle commenter. And Fisherman and Michael are in it. And if you guys have any other people you'd like to throw in there, we'll add it in. I'll text the boys right now. I'll put it down so we make sure we have that in the episode this year.
Let them know.
I see a lot of people today trying to make a late push for this type of award show. Like just a bunch of people jumping in here today. Like we know who's been here for a long time. We see you, Michael. We see you, Fisherman.
Michael's Madness, IU fan checking in. Thank you, Michael, for letting us know. Even like that's what I need to start telling people. Like even if you don't comment a whole bunch, like tell us in the chat who you are, because I really do try to pick games that like people who watch our show will care about. So knowing that we do have at least one IU fan now, that will that will affect me. So Michael, I apologize for not talking about the Indiana Michigan State game. I just didn't know you existed. But that was probably not a great way of putting it. Sorry. All right, let's move on. Let's just talk about Indiana again to make up for it. So we have Indiana, Nebraska. Guys, I got to be honest. I'm a little bit locked on this one too. Nebraska, really, really good team, a hot team. However, they're not at home. And that makes a difference, I feel like, when Nebraska doesn't have all the fans behind them. They're going to have these Minnesota fans there. I mean, will Nebraska's fans travel to Minneapolis for this one?
I hope so. I'm sitting in their section. So. That's where I'm sitting. I'm with the Nebraska section, so I hope they're there. And we're gonna party, baby. Nebraska fans, let's go. We're gonna have a big time there this week.
Yeah, it's not harvesting season. It's not harvesting season in Nebraska, so they haven't got anything else on their plate, so they'll be there.
Does that mean you have to root for Nebraska in this game then, Kent?
No, but I probably will just because I'm scared and I don't want to get beat up by anybody while I'm in Minneapolis. So I'll just be like, yay, go Nebraska. I'll wear like a Nebraska shirt for sure, and cheer for them for this game. But that being said, if we're going to make a pick, are we going to move back up the bracket here, JR? I'm going to actually pick Indiana in this game for the reason that you said. Nebraska's not at home. And like I said, I like Indiana a lot right now. I think that they're hot. And I think they're a type of team that could make a little bit of a run in this tournament. So I'll take Indiana in this game. I don't know if you were taking picks right now, but I'm picking.
No, that's fine. I have to apologize to Michael Madness. Although I am glad that you're here, I am going to end up taking Nebraska in this one. I am a firm believer that Nebraska is entirely, like, when I was making power rankings at the beginning of the year, I was at one point like power ranking Nebraska at home versus Nebraska away. So I do think they're a different team at home. However, I think Nebraska wins this one. I think that Ranked Mast is a really, really good player. And I think if Kasai Tamanaga gets hot, and also I've been talking about his shooting all year long. Tamanaga is a fantastic cutter. I watched that Michigan game today and just like it dawned on me. I was like, why do I not give this guy credit for something other than shooting? Like he does a very good job of getting cuts. And even when he doesn't get the ball on those cuts, like he's still keeping the defender guarding the player accountable for that as well. So I'm going to go with Nebraska. It's not by much. I don't feel super confident in it, but I think Nebraska gets it done. Lee, you are the tiebreaker here. Will you side with the Cornhuskers or the Hoosiers?
Well, Ken, I'm just going to tell you, just wear a red shirt that game and you're completely fine. Depending on, how dark or how light it is, you're good. However, I am going to go with Nebraska on this game. I think it will be close, but I think Tamanaga and Mast get it done, and they're playing very well this year. You said they're not at home, but they're not quite on the road. It is a neutral site. So I'll give them the slight edge in this one.
I just want to make one more point about this game before we read this comment, JR, if that's okay. There is something to be said about, and JR, you know this better than anyone because this happened to Ohio State last year. Teams that have already played on that court and have been in that building, I think, have an advantage if the matchup is close. And I do think that the matchup is close in this game. It's close enough for Indiana. I think that the fact that they have played the night before against either Penn State or Michigan, definitely Penn State, the fact that they have one game under their belt going into that Friday game against Nebraska is going to serve them well. And I really think that's what the advantage is in this game. I'm not saying that Indiana's going to go in and blow out Nebraska. I'm definitely not saying that. I think Nebraska is a good team. I think there's a slight advantage because they're playing the day before and they have that familiar, however you want to say it. They're familiar with the building and they've already played there and they've already shot on those rims and all that good stuff. So that's what gives them the edge in this game.
I mean, Billy Bob put it in there. Nebraska beat Indiana at Assembly Hall. I mean, does that change it at all, Kent? Did you remember that? Because I didn't. I'm glad Billy Bob put that in there, but I do remember now that he said that situation. Does that change it for you at all, Kent? Or are you still picking the Hoosiers?
I'm still picking the Hoosiers.
All right.
I'm just going to stand by it and just be a knucklehead about it. There's nothing that's going to change my mind about it at this point. That is a very good point by Billy Bob, though, and I did not remember that. For sure, did not remember that.
We appreciate you, Billy Bob. All right. Okay. So Ohio State, Illinois, guys, I just decided. So I'm just going to be a complete homer this episode, and I'm just going to pick Ohio State no matter who they play. So my pick is Ohio State. Lee, why don't you go first? Do you think Illinois gets it done, or do you think the hot Buckeyes move on?
As much as I wish I could side with you on this one, JR, I think their magical run comes to an end. But I think they did enough, as ours has said, as we've put so far, that they make the Big Ten tournament. But I think just Illinois is too good. And I think ultimately they're the better team, so I think they're going to win.
You mean Ohio State will make the NCAA tournament?
Yes, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. You said make the Big Ten tournament, and I was like, wait.
Oh, yes, sorry. My apologies. Yes. As we've seen, they did. They did, in fact, make the Big Ten tournament this year.
Hey, next year, that's going to be a real conversation, though, because some teams are not going to make it next year. So we have to get used to saying that.
All right, Kent, break the tiebreaker for us. You with the hot Buckeyes, or are you going with the fighting Illini?
I will go with Illinois, and I will let my mentions not be full all night from all the Illinois fans that potentially are watching this. There's no shot I'm picking Ohio State against Illinois in this game. I just said that the team that played the night before has a slight advantage because they just played on that rim. If the matchup is close, and unfortunately in this game, I do not think that this matchup is close enough for it to make a difference. Illinois advances.
Wow. Couple Buckeye haters next to me. That's fine.
I'm sorry,
all right. I will not be picking Maryland now that Lee picked against Ohio State. No, but seriously, Kent, we'll let you go first here. Northwestern and Maryland. Maryland will be on the court for, 2 days? So added advantage for them. Do you think, you didn't think Maryland's going to get it done before, so you think it's Northwestern, right?
Yeah, I think Northwestern wins this game, regardless of who it is, to be honest. If it's Wisconsin or Maryland or Rutgers, whoever's in this game, I think that Northwestern is going to win it. Now, here's what I'll say about Northwestern, though. They need at least one person to get healthy, whether it's Langborg or I don't know. Have you heard about Nicholson? Is he going to – I thought he was supposed to be reevaluated. Is he out for the year now? Like somebody has to get healthy on this team.
No, Langborg is back.
Langborg is back. Okay. Did he play against Michigan State?
Langborg did, yes.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that.
But I think he was limited or something like that. I don't think he was like his normal self. Anyway.
Well, either way, I'm taking Northwestern to advance in this game, regardless of who it's against. Any of those three teams before them, I'm taking the Wildcats.
Yes. All right. Lee, will you concede and take the Wildcats, or are you still faithful in your Terrapins?
I'm simply, if you wouldn't have picked Ohio State, I probably would have taken Northwestern. But since you told me it was okay, I'm just I'm gonna say Maryland, because once again, we did play them close at Northwestern. So, if we knock down shots, I think there's a chance. But I'm gonna say Maryland just because you showed me it was okay to pick Ohio State in them. So I'm gonna say Maryland.
You think if you hit more shots than them, you guys are gonna win?
No, well, obviously, but obviously, Maryland's Achilles heel has been the inability to hit shots from outside.
I got you. I'm just making you, buddy. I'm in a good mood tonight. I feel like I can hope some fun right now.
You're good.
Kingdom. This is such a biased podcast, low key. We're having
hold on.
fun,
this is the same dude that just said I don't know ball because I didn't pick his team. Because he's a Nebraska fan. That dude just said that in the comments, I think.
We're just having fun, Bears Kingdom. So I do, like, realistically looking at this, I do think that Maryland does have a chance because Northwestern does have some guys injured. However, I do think that Boo is going to be too much for Maryland. I don't think that it's like he's going to be too much because he's going to outplay Jameer Young to that level. However, I just don't think that Jameer Young has enough help around him to be able to contain Boo and some of the other things that are going on with Northwestern. I think Langborg is going to be huge for him playing the way that he is. I'm going to pick Northwestern, but I would not be surprised at all if Maryland wins. And also, too, like, Maryland is going to be super tired. If this does end up happening, Maryland's going to be super tired. It happened last year with Ohio State. Like, eventually you just run out of gas, especially for a team in Maryland that plays Jameer Young nearly 40 minutes a night. Like, if that dude has to play 40 minutes a night, 3 nights in a row, like, I'm a huge Jameer Young fan, but it's just going to be too much in my mind.
Yeah, no, I agree. I can see that point. And if Martinelli continues to play well, then I think Northwestern's got a run in them. So I can see that. Yep.
I agree. All right. Minnesota, Purdue. We love the Gophers, Kent. We have a special place in our heart for them, but the Boilermakers are very good, and Zach Edey is very scary. You have any hope for Minnesota here? Or do you think Purdue's going to win it?
I think Purdue's going to win it. That's just a tough draw for the quote-unquote home team in this tournament. But, yeah, Purdue's definitely going to win that game.
Yeah, I think so, too. Lee, any other thoughts?
Yeah.
I feel bad for Purdue.
Purdue's...
Like, I don't think we talk about them very much because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, Purdue's very good. It's I don't know.
I think if you're the Big Ten, you actually want Michigan State to win that first game because Michigan State versus Purdue looks a little bit better, from a TV rating standpoint, I think, than Minnesota versus Purdue. But, hopefully that's not the case, though. I want Minnesota to win that first one.
Alibaba has hope. Maybe Zach Edey fouls out. That's my only hope. Hey, it could happen. It could happen. It could happen. We'll see.
Maybe Parker Fox hits 15 3-pointers. That could happen too. Anything could happen in that game.
I believe in Parker Fox.
I do too. He's the truth. My boy.
Yeah, I think honestly, if Zach Edey fouls out, I think I'd still, in the limited time that he would get, and Braden Smith. It wouldn't be by much, but I think I would still pick Purdue. I think Minnesota would have a good chance, though. So, all right. So here we go. We have picked all of 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So obviously we don't have any Cinderellas or anything like that. We'll see if that actually comes true. But we'll start with Purdue, Northwestern. Northwestern has beaten Purdue this year. They've also lost to Purdue, but it was also a very close game. I remember Chris Collins getting ejected and hugging Zach Edey on the way out. Over under a half a hug for Chris Collins in this game, I guess would be a good bet. But I think at the end of the day, Northwestern is they're too hobbled. And even though Boo Buie's very good and Ryan Langborg will be able to shoot well enough, I still think it's Purdue's game. Lee, what do you think?
Yeah, I just think, like you said, Northwestern just has a couple key pieces that are a little bit hobbled, and Purdue's the superior team. So I think Purdue wins, unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say that.
Kent, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Purdue wins this game too. And I would be looking, if this is the matchup next Saturday, I would be looking for Purdue to get out and run simply for the fact that we just talked about Northwestern has so many guys injured. Their bench is a little bit depleted at this point. I do like Blake Smith, though. He's a new guy that just showed up for Northwestern. He's a guy that I'm going to be keeping an eye on for the next few years, sophomore for Northwestern. But I think that what I'm trying to say to make something interesting about this game is that I think there's going to be a lot of fast break points for Purdue available in this game because Northwestern is going to try to slow it down and have as few possessions as possible, like they did against Michigan State the other night. And I don't think they're going to be able to do it against Purdue. They're going to get up and down and score a lot in this game.
Yeah, they'll be able to be out and running. Dave says Northwestern wins with defense. Dave, I would love it if you were right. That would be a fun upset. But I'm glad you have faith, Dave. Unfortunately, I don't think I have the faith that will happen. All right, so Illinois and Nebraska here, guys. I could go either way on this one. I will eventually have to make a pick, but I'm going to let Kent make his pick first to see if I don't have to make a pick, see if you and Lee agree. But Kent, what are your thoughts on Illinois and the Cornhuskers?
I mean, if that is the semifinal game on Saturday night, I mean, what a game we're going to be treated to. That's going to be fun. These two teams, I mean, these just really fun offenses to watch, both of them for different reasons. But I think I'm going to lean Illinois in this game. I know that's so simple to say because they are the 2 seed and it's like just chalk throughout the bracket. But I already said I thought Indiana could beat Nebraska in the game before that. So there's no way I can in good faith say that Nebraska would advance against a team like Illinois. So I'll take Illinois in this game.
Now, if you do remember, Nebraska did take Illinois to overtime and only lost by 3 in Champaign. Nebraska wasn't even at home. So I'm not trying to sway you here, Kent, but I am saying, Nebraska was able to take it to them. I think, they did have Shannon Jr. in that game, I think. Let me check the box score really fast, but I think they had Shannon. Yeah, I mean, they had Terrence Shannon Jr. in that game. Coleman Hawkins, leading scorer with 20 points. So I'm not trying to sway you here, Kent. But
hey, I just want to remind everybody, like, before I get like eaten up by Nebraska fans, I'm sitting in the Nebraska section all session for the Big Ten tournament. I'm with Nebraska fans. So I like Nebraska. I'm a big Nebraska supporter. Literally, I'm going to be in the lower bowl with the Nebraska fans, cheering on Nebraska. I just, I also try to be unbiased, even though we just got called biased on the show. I try to be unbiased. So I'm going to say that I think the better team is Illinois, and I think they're going to win this game. I love you, Nebraska. I'll have my Cornhuskers shirt on for this game.
You did I did not do that because the tickets were.
Dude, who is this guy, man?
He called you biased and cheap. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I love it.
They weren't cheaper. They weren't cheaper.
I love it. I love that Bears is here sticking up for his team. I love when people come in here and stick up for their team. The only thing I don't like is when they came in and they told me I was, a terrible person and that there was no way I had a family. That was the only comment that I was like, bit much. It's like, all right, maybe don't take the personal attacks, but it is what it is. Yeah. Lee, do you agree that it's Illinois' game, or are you going to side with the rabid Cornhusker fans in the chat?
Well, I want to point one thing out. We're getting called biased, but anytime we talk crap on Nebraska, we get hated on. So there maybe is a little bit of bias on that part as well. Oh. No, I mean, I'm just saying it doesn't really matter to me. I enjoy. We are the Big Banter Network, so banter is in our name. So I enjoy it, but I think ultimately Illinois is just too much. They're a matchup nightmare for most teams. Again, I think Nebraska's a good team. I think they're going to win a couple of games in the NCAA tournament, but I think that Illinois is going to win this one.
All right, so I'll just pick Nebraska since it doesn't matter. I'll go with Nebraska.
He's just trying to see you, JR. He just saving face, Ken. Unreal.
Be that guy.
No, if I had to give a legitimate defense, I would say Nebraska did take it to Illinois in Champaign. I don't think that, Illinois is just like the auto win like Purdue can be, especially against Northwestern with how hobbled they are. If I had to pick like an actual winner, I probably would lean more toward Illinois. However, again, if Nebraska wins this game, it would not surprise me at all. I think that Nebraska has everything you need to beat Illinois. They just need the shooting in that game to make it happen, which it's not like that for every team. It's just, shooting can come and go with any team. And if Nebraska is hitting at a high rate, they can win. But if I had to make the logical choice probably would be Illinois. But it would be kind of fun to see Nebraska play in the Big Ten championship. So, yeah.
It'd be really fun because I'm sitting in the Nebraska section. Let's not forget that, everybody.
I'm trying to give proper representation for every fan base here. All right. I'm trying to help everybody out. All right. I'll move Illinois on.
Bears Kingdom going to have, like, if he's at the tournament, he's just going to plaster Kent's face amongst Nebraska Twitter just so they throw stuff at you if you're rooting against Nebraska.
If he's coming, he's going to be sitting right next to me because he's a Nebraska fan and I'm in the Nebraska section. He's going to have to be friends with me. Like, we're going to be in the same row.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Purdue and Illinois, how did we get to this point? It felt like just, a few days ago, they were such good friends and kumbaya together. And now they're in the Big Ten championship again. And our bracket, obviously, Purdue has, gotten Illinois here twice on a neutral site. Do we see anything different, or do we think the Boilermakers are going to win this one out? Lee, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Illinois can keep it close, but I think Purdue's going to win it personally.
Yeah. Kent, what do you think?
I am going to pick Illinois to win this one. Yeah, I just think that just to say something different other than just Purdue's going to walk right through. And I think that there's something to be said about a team that, like I mentioned about Illinois earlier in the show, I think that they have something to prove. And this is a big opportunity to prove to everybody that they are at the elite top tier of the Big Ten, just like Purdue. They're not just a whole tier down. So I'll take Illinois to win. Obviously, it's just easy to say that Purdue's going to win. They've already won the conference this year and kind of walked through it. So it's easy to say they'll do the same thing in the tournament. But that's what makes March great. Like, crazy things happen. And I think that Illinois played Purdue pretty good. I mean, I know they ended up losing by more than they'd like to, but yeah, they got something to prove in this game. So I'd like maybe they can win this one. So I'll pick Illinois for the fun.
Yeah, I think it is fun to pick Illinois. However, I do think that Purdue is going to win this one. I do think that at a certain point, Purdue is just kind of a matchup nightmare for Illinois. They're able to slow them down and really not allow them to play the type of game that they want to play. Oh, that was really anticlimactic. It made the font really, really small. That stinks. I thought it was going to be like this big fun thing where it's like, oh, no, Purdue. But no, it made the font really small. That stinks. I'll have to enlarge it here. But no, at the end of the day, I do think Purdue probably wins this one. But I would not be surprised to see Illinois win if they're able to make it happen. So, all right. That's all I got. You guys have any more thoughts on the Big Ten tournament or anything like that?
The only thing I've got is, I enjoy looking forward to this weekend, although it means that the end of college basketball season is coming to an end. This is my favorite time of the year. So looking forward to it, and the next couple weeks after it for the NCAAs.
Yeah, Kent, what do you think?
I'm just really excited. Like, flight takes off on Wednesday morning, so I'm just really excited about the whole week. I get to stay all the way until the end of the championship. This year I had to leave last year on Saturday night, so I missed the championship. So just very excited for the whole week. The Big Ten tournament, for people who haven't been before, is a awesome experience for anybody who's in love with basketball like I am, because there's former players just in the concourse. Losing teams just are hanging out in the stands, so you can go and talk to players and coaches, and it's just like a really fun, like, who's who of basketball in the Big Ten. Now, this year, I'm not sure if it'll be that big because it's in Minneapolis instead of Chicago like it was last year. But yeah, just a really fun experience all around. So I'm excited to get there and embrace myself in the Minnesota culture and all 13 of these games. Watch every single one of them on bated breath and cover it like only I can, even without the Big Ten's credentials that they denied from me.
Don't they know who you are, Kent?
They don't. They don't have a clue.
No, they don't. Vols Fanatics, best time of the year, March. The madness is real. Yes, I make sure I have enough TVs and enough laptops and everything every year to watch as many games as possible. There is not, although I am more of a football fan than a basketball fan, there is not a better time of the year to watch sports than March Madness in my mind. So, thanks for listening to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.